Welcome back to the show. Joining us for our weekly segment, Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. Good morning, afternoon, evening, Keith.
Good evening. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying a nice day of weather here in southeast Pennsylvania. And
have you adjusted to daylight savings time?
I don't ever adjust to that. Nothing makes me madder than walking out. First of all, I don't have any windows in my office, so I walk out the door unprepared for it to be pitch black, and it's pitch black,
Right.
and it's just frustrating.
Right.
We got to stop that crap. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what happens here in Portland is that they turn on the rain at the same time daylight savings time comes on. So it becomes cold and wet on the same day.
Gosh, how wonderful. And just the time you want to, I was just going to take my car out for that one last little jaunt around the block. So your blog this week, at what point does safety matter? Wow. That could be a loaded question, right?
It's a question for that most of us at our age, what we like to do is say, well, remember when we grew up, we didn't have seat belts and my mama put me on the parcel shelf on the back. And guess what? We're still all here, which makes it okay.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not.
No, because we just happen to be the ones that didn't die.
Yeah, we just got lucky. There's lots of them that are.
I have a real, my 65 Alfa-Spyder has got lap belts in it, 2-inch lap belts. And for a shoulder harness to work properly, it's got to be anchored above the height of your shoulder. And it can't be down here because then what happens is it just makes you into a 3-foot tall person if you have a crash.
Right, exactly.
But I wonder each time I get in the car and the steering arm on that car is a solid piece of metal that goes from the front grille to your chest.
So probably if you were in a front head-on collision, that might end up somewhere you didn't want that steel bar to be.
Well, we call that safety by Lancelot.
And then how do they get it out? I mean, do they have to brace themselves against something to pull it out of your chest?
I just think they put it on Bring a Trailer.
with your body there, maybe in decomposed. I like that.
I think it's a question that we don't. I mean, part of the reason I'm selling the 75 Porsche that I've got, and I'm going to buy a 996 is it's got airbags. Even my Lotus Elise has got 4 airbags.
If you're enjoying driving and it can be safer, I think that's a win-win. I think that as we get older in age, mortality, we think about it more often about not doing crazy crap that we did when we were kids. And driving an older car is risky because the rest of you don't know that I can't brake as fast as you. I can't I can't maneuver as fast as you. That's right.
No, it's the question that we usually don't ask ourselves because the right answer is don't do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because
that's what there was just have you heard about Lee Cross's GT350 tour?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That's a great event.
What I think the real advantage to that tour is, aside from he's evidently a mastermind at putting it together, but all those cars have similar performance envelopes.
That makes sense.
So if you're with 50 cars that kind of all start and go and stop the same, there's a safety in numbers in that situation.
Absolutely. That makes a whole lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, he's a master at putting on events. He gets you into unobtainiumville.
Yeah.
Just, you want to see so-and-so's collection that nobody gets into? No, we're going on the trip. We're going there. So, but you're right. I think that has a lot to do with it. All like-minded cars and similar performing cars, everybody knows how far to stay away from each other because you know what the braking is, you know what the acceleration, the maneuverability, that kind of thing.
That's right. I mean, part of the problem with the Mille Miglia or the SCM 1000 or California Mille, even there, is you can get a wide disparity of performance envelopes from V12 Ferraris down to early Porsches. And there's always somebody who can't seem to control themselves on those events.
Right. There's always that guy or that person that's like that. And it's a shame because, part of the joy of a tour like that, in my mind, is not only for the participants, but it's for people that are just standing, happen to just catch them going by. And if they all kind of go by within a couple of 3 or 4 minutes period, that's wonderful. But if one goes by and then it's 20 minutes later, then the next one goes by, you kind of lose a little interest there, I would imagine.
Right.
But the physical injury side of it is not only can you damage your car in an accident in an old car, but you can get really hurt way worse than you could in a modern car with airbags and anti-lock brakes and so on.
But did you see that post on social media recently where one of the American pickers was in a crash in his Porsche 356?
Yeah, how terrible. I mean,
and that front of that car was just wiped off.
Yeah. And you can get thrown from the car as well, too, especially in something like that, especially with the seat. We were talking to one of the drag racers. I can't remember if it was Ron Capps or Don Perdome that we had on the show, and they have 13-point harnesses now. And you think, well, that's overkill. But I mean, a 5-point harness, we used to always we would never buckle it all the way up. You'd put the lap one on and maybe, and you should, because why not take the time to put a seatbelt on? It doesn't cost you any time at all. And if you get in an accident, statistics prove that you're better off with a seatbelt.
Well, a friend of mine had an Alfa GTA, and he went out one time and said, "I'm not going to put those damned arm restraints on. They just it up when I'm trying to drive."
Exactly.
That was just before he rolled his car and had the top of his arm cut off.
Yeah.
From his arm flailing out the window.
I had a friend of mine who had a private plane, and we were flying somewhere, and we were coming into some rough weather, and the pilot turned around and said, "Hey, you guys want to put your seatbelt on?" And my buddy who owned the plane said, "Good Lord." He said, "What's a seatbelt going to save you if you crash into the side of a mountain?" About that time, we hit a drop pocket of about 1,000 feet, and he hit his head on the little air vent, and it sliced him open in an L shape on the top of his head, blood everywhere. And we're in a terrific storm with a guy bleeding and cocktails running up and down the aisle, and we're just, it's always better to have your seatbelt on no matter what the scenario.
Well, I think, and we don't want to go too dark here, but I think where it really comes to play is putting your kids in the cars with you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not thinking that through.
Like, I kept my kids in baby seats forever.
Sure. Dad, I'm 15.
I know. but that's really where I'm at this stage in my life. I'm prepared to take responsibility for my stupidity.
Yeah, exactly. And only on me. I don't want to subject anybody else to it. You see that happen all the time, and you see people that are, driving kind of out of control or too fast for a situation, and nobody's buckled in, and everybody's having a good time until they're not, And like you said, let's don't get too morbid on it. But so you're selling the 912.
I've got a 75 911S Sportomatic.
Oh, that's right, the Sportomatic.
And I'm going to sell it because it's got no power steering, no power brakes, no AC. It's a great car. It's really a wonderful car, but it's a lot of work.
Sure.
And my 91 Alfa Spyder has got an airbag and power steering and power brakes, and I'd rather sacrifice for the comfort.
I hear you.
And give up a little bit of the wire trigger feeling and the responsiveness, because the 2.7 is a great car. That car weighs the same as a Carrera RS.
Wow.
2,500 pounds.
And you don't need a whole lot of power to make that go fun.
No, you don't. Well, also because you have no traction at the rear. Don't need a lot of speed for the rear end to come around in front of you either.
Which is always exciting.
Yeah, it's like, which window are we looking through?
I wish. Yeah, that's maybe why the back windows were so. I wish that we had better driver education in this country, where kids could go and learn how to control a car in a skid, and learn what the difference is between a car with and without anti-lock brakes, and how to drive a manual transmission, and so on and so forth. It would be wonderful if everybody had those life lessons given to them.
Well, I know that my son, when he turned 16, he got a discount on his insurance because we sent him to skid school.
Right. Yeah. How cool is that? That should be universal. That should be just automatic. You get that, you get a discount on your insurance. You pass a driving test. And people incorrectly will say, "Well, you're teaching them to drive fast." No, you're teaching them how to control an automobile. And they're going to drive fast. I don't care. I don't know any 16-year-old that got in and was, holding their arm out the window, doing the turn signal thing.
There's a reason the statistics are what they are for young drivers.
Absolutely. Without question, there is. So, we're not trying to be negative Nancy's here. We're just saying, be careful. Why not? What does it hurt to be careful?
And if you've got seatbelts in your car, put them on.
Put them on. Why not? And put them on.
When I read about some of these accident reports, and they say, and the 4 people weren't wearing seatbelts.
Yeah. It's all 4 people not wearing. Oh, I'm in the back seat. It won't matter. It will matter. Yeah, right. And so it's important to do that and be safe, and you can still have fun and be safe. It's not like we're asking you to get a horse and buggy.
Yeah. Well, that could be fun.
That would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? So anyway. So glad to have you on every week and to talk about your blog, and we'll certainly have you again next week, and a new subject that will remain unknown until that next week comes.
Well, maybe we'll be talking about a new Porsche if I can find one.
Let's hope so. I hope so. And we want to hear a report on how you do on Bring a Trailer with selling the other one. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
We'll be cool.
If those prices have been going up on Sportomatics because there are few of them. And there are more of us who need something like that.
Yeah. It's not a want, it's a need, and that's a whole different animal, right?
Exactly right.
We'll be back next week with the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stuart Howden. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.